My message this morning is very simple. I would like to tell you this morning that God is alive, God is in control, and God is speaking. I say God is alive because I can see Him working. He may have inspired men to write the Bible over 2,000 years ago, but He was at work last Tuesday when I went to the gym, and He is present here today. I'll come back to my story about the gym. He's in control because nothing happens by accident. Pay attention to coincidences because much of the time they aren't coincidental. The last time we met, my mother brought the message. She talked about the second time. The second time things happen, it really gets our attention. I may call your name once, and you may fail to hear me. You may be distracted and doubt that you heard anything at all. But the second time, I likened my mom's message that Saturday to a thriller. We were winding around like we were in a chase scene in an action movie, and I couldn't wait to discover the big reveal at the end. What significance does the number 2 have? We turn then to Genesis 41:32. There we're visiting Joseph in prison in Egypt. He's been forgotten there. By the world's standards, he is utterly without hope. Then Pharaoh dreams a dream. He wakes up and goes back to sleep and dreams a second dream. There is the number 2. It has been 2 years since Joseph correctly interpreted the dreams of the wine steward and the baker. There again is the number 2. The wine steward remembers Joseph, and Joseph is delivered to interpret Pharaoh's 2 dreams. In verse 32, he says, "The repetition of your dreams means that the matter is fixed by God and that He will make it happen in the near future." Somebody say soon.
Soon.
God has made up His mind, and the thing will happen soon. I was particularly emotional when we read this verse together, though I kept it to myself. I could not help but notice that it was verse 32, and I happened to be 32 years old. The promise, my friends, is coming soon. Immediately, when my heart leapt at this encouraging word, I heard a doubt creep into my ear. The voice said, "Something may be happening for your mother soon. Something was destined to happen for Joseph soon, but God hasn't promised you anything." "Oh yeah, people prophesy to you all the time," the voice said, "but they don't know what they're talking about. They're just trying to cheer you up. God hasn't promised you anything." "Oh yeah, there are generic promises in the Bible for every Christian. You can have those too. But God hasn't promised you specifically a single thing. Nothing for you is coming soon." Verse 41:32 is a coincidence. You're not 41. No, I guess I'm not. You're reading too much into things. Which brings me back to my opening. God is alive, God is in control, and God is speaking. God was speaking to the men who wrote the Bible over 2,000 years ago, but He was also speaking to me last month and last Tuesday when I went to the gym. I will explain. After we met last time, I found myself on the road traveling from Hinesville to Savannah. And while I was driving, I saw not one, but 2 rainbows in the sky at the same time. There is the number 2. And if you're like me, then you have a hard time looking at a rainbow and not feeling something. I promise. A rainbow is God's way of saying, I promise. Genesis 9, starting with verse 11 in the Good News Translation reads, "With these words I make my covenant with you. I promise that never again will all living things be destroyed by a flood. Never again will a flood destroy the earth. As a sign of this everlasting covenant which I am making with you and with all living things, I am putting my bow in the clouds. It will be the sign of my covenant with the world. God goes on to say, when he sees the rainbow, he is reminded of his promise. The rainbow is a sign of his covenant. Covenant and promise. Covenant and promise. Two things that go together. I saw the two rainbows last month, but last Tuesday, as I was preparing and putting this message together, I went to the gym after work and something remarkable happened. During my workout, the sky was clear. In the few minutes it took me to enter the locker room, grab my things, and come back out, it started to rain. I looked out at the parking lot and saw the surprised faces of the others around me who hadn't expected the sudden downpour any more than I had. The rain wasn't really a big deal. I was already sweaty from my workout, but I had parked far from the building. I started to walk, and I was about halfway to my car when the Holy Spirit said, "You know, you can ask me to stop the rain." And I acknowledged that fact. As I said, "I know I can ask you to stop the rain, but it probably won't happen." There again was the creeping doubt. I said, "Okay, if I'm going to ask, I really have to believe you'll do it. Without my faith, it isn't going to happen." I asked myself, do I really believe it? It took me a moment, but I decided that yes, I could really believe that. I believe that if I ask him to, he'll stop the rain. I was getting even closer to my car when I silently prayed, "Father, stop the rain." About 2 full seconds later, the rain stopped. I just stood there, looking at the sky, looking at my windshield, raising my arms to the clouds. The rain had inexplicably ceased. I was dumbfounded. I really wished I had taken a picture before and after and noted the time. 1 second it was raining, and in the next it was not. This is the second time this year God has used the rain to get my attention. Then, on the drive home, I saw a rainbow, and I took a picture of this one. It's on my phone. For a second time, I saw his sign in the sky, his signal to remind me of his promise. "I promise," he says, "and I'm not a man that I should lie." God is speaking. He's been telling me that it isn't enough to wait on him. I have to wait with faith. I have to wait with expectation. I have to wait with the right attitude. Sometimes that's a lot to ask, am I right? An entire message could be delivered on any one of these things. But my real topic for today, the one I felt that he was leading me to do some fine-tuning with, is in the area of courage. What it is. Somebody say what it is.
What it is.
Courage is defined as the mental or moral strength to persevere and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. Another definition reads, the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty, danger, pain, etc. without fear. Bravery. Somebody say, God is speaking.
God is speaking.
A few weeks ago, my aunt reminded me something about having the right attitude. God had already been pressing upon me to choose faith rather than doubt. Then Silvana said, God removed Queen Vashti for having a bad attitude. He promoted Esther for having a good attitude. So we've established what courage is. Let's examine what it ain't. Somebody say what it ain't.
What it ain't.
The opposite of courage is fear. When you give in to fear, your whole attitude changes. When a trial comes my way, right away I have a choice as to whether to answer that trial with an attitude of courage or an attitude of fear. Human beings have what's called a fight or flight response. If I'm walking down the road and I see a snake, I'm going to respond one of two ways. Fight, I'm going to go kill it, or flight, I'm going to run away. Now, unless I have a weapon I can use, chances are if I see a snake, I'm going to run away. Let's go to our text. I'm going to read Joshua 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' aide, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land I am about to give them, to the Israelites. I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Your territory will extend from the desert to Lebanon, and from the great river, the Euphrates, all the Hittite country to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. God told Joshua to be courageous 3 times. It's spoken a 4th time in verse 18. Do you want to lead others out of the wilderness? Be courageous. Do you want to get yourself out of the wilderness? Be courageous. Do you want to occupy the land?
Yes.
Be courageous. Do you want to succeed against your enemies?
Yes.
Be courageous. This is not a suggestion. It's a command. Operating in fear is disobedience. My peace I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither be afraid. Fear not, for I am with you. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind.